Hello again, one more time. This is Chili Chill and Friends show. Today is Tuesday, April. April what?
17th. Today's
April
tax day.
17th. I'm sitting here in River West video store, which is the River West radio studio place, with my new friend.
Gabe Van Handel.
And we've met up here about 5 minutes ago when I walked in, and Gabe was just hanging around. And I said, "Hey, Gabe,
Want to be on the show?" And I said, yes, absolutely. I can only be on for about 15 minutes, but I usually tend to ramble on. As you know, I have a show on Friday nights with Zav. It's the My Dinner with Gabe show. I think one of the stands is probably loose. I think this one is it's not a problem though. It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
We're not trying to create
sorry.
a masterpiece of cinematography here. But yeah, I ramble on that show a little bit, and hopefully we can get the same thing here. I like Chili so far. I like this guy. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I've been. The show actually is called Art and Life. So the topics can be anything which involve
Art and life.
Yeah,
Okay.
art or life, art in life,
Sure.
life in art.
Yeah.
But lately I've started reading Bhagavad Gita. And I've never read it. I heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah.
So we can read it. We can read Bhagavad Gita together,
Okay.
or we can talk about anything else that you.
Well, let's talk a little bit maybe about the personal encounters that we've maybe had with this book, or what our knowledge is of this book. What I know about this book is that from the most important spiritual people that I've known in my life, the prominent spiritual teachers, or the people who I've known who are the most connected to truth and wisdom and bravery in my life, have always recommended this book as one of the sacred texts of I cannot remember the name of the bigger book that it's from, but it's from the great Indian novel, and this is what they consider the most sacred part of that novel, and it's a large adventure story, and it's
Upanishads, yeah.
I
Upanishads.
believe,
Part of the Vedas.
yeah, it is. It's part of the Vedantas. I think you're right, the holy book of the Hindus, and so it's a very sacred text. I read it a long time ago when I found it in my mom's library, and she gave me a brief explanation of it. She gave me a box of books to read when I was about 13 or 14, and I still haven't gotten through all of them. But what was it called? There were a lot of very important books in there, Bhagavad Gita being one of them, and I read that at an age I didn't really understand it in a very short period of time, and I've actually been thinking for many years now that I'd like to revisit it and see what I can get from it as an adult. I'm trying to remember where I was going with this.
It's a good book.
It's considered one of the great books, and from what I've seen from the great teachers that I've ever encountered, what they have always said about it is that they say it's one of the great holy books, and they put it right next to any of the sacred texts. The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, which is part of the Bible, but any of the sacred books to any major religion, including the Gospel according to Haile Selassie and the Gospel of Hip Hop by KRS-One.
I want to see that one.
It's actually available at that gift shop. I think Fish Burgers on Holton. I thought that guy, I thought it was just KRS-One.
Holton and what? Never heard of it.
KRS-One, the grandfather of hip hop, one of them besides Africa Bambaataa, likes to talk himself up. He's a big egotist and narcissist, like all great hip hoppers. But he has had the privilege of teaching at Harvard and Yale, and he's got degrees from all sorts of coveted
He
universities.
talks quite good.
And he's an amazing scholar. And when I saw that book, I'm like, this motherfucker wasn't just talking about the Gospel of Hip Hop. He actually wrote it, and it's bound in this what looks like an ancient passed down book. Like it looks like someone scribed it like 100 years ago, and it's meant to look like a passed on tradition. It's a book of families of clansmen not clansmen, but of different clans and tribes, sort of passing this book along as knowledge and truth. And it's written in the style of the Bible, in the vernacular of how the Bible was written, and it's very it's very cool. It's KRS-One, but it's him speaking about knowledge, truth, and wisdom. And a lot of people have said it's the holy text of hip hop, even though a lot of people that are in hip hop nowadays, I think a lot of these kids wouldn't even know who KRS-One is, or they'd laugh in your face if you said anything before 2004.
It's a very, very, very sad state of affair.
It's a strange time for hip hop.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the whole music in general is pretty much. It came to its climax, I think, in the mid '90s of last era, and now it's just being. I don't know.
People seem underwhelmed.
I don't see anything new.
Well, people have said that everything's been dead since before I was born, is what a lot of music scholars. But I don't believe
when
it.
Prince came out, Prince gave a lot of new meaning to music, new different genres, different styles.
He melded a lot of stuff together.
Beatles invented a lot of rock and roll. Led Zeppelin. I mean, even,
but these are all people that borrowed traditions from other musicians that they learned from as well.
Well, of course, everything's
everything's
comes
a progression.
from the bottom. It comes from the past. I mean, even classical music and goes through that. But nowadays, we reach a certain point in the existence of music. I think that we came to a sudden stop, and there's nothing. The musicians are not using the old music to invent the new one, but they're just recycling same old songs, and they're making them simplifying things and making them $1
by pushing a button.
Less lyrics, more repetition.
Cheap thrills.
Yeah.
Well,
even the
I think-
techno.
I think Dave Grohl said it best actually at the Grammys earlier this year. He said, "You push a button on a computer and things happen. That's cheating." And I think that for a pop music culture icon like Dave Grohl, who is the embodiment of man, and right now I think he's like, as much as he's, he makes pop music and it's on the charts, he is the embodiment of everything that I think is cool. Whether I think that he's cool to the 100th exponential degree, I think the fact that he's a family man and he has a wife and kids and he loves that, but he's also still a badass rock and roller with long greasy hair, and he says "fuck you" to the system. And he recorded his last album on tape in a garage, which still had pop hits off of it. But he is a firm, adamant believer in practicing, in having a skill, in refining your skill and challenging yourself. And if you use a program, if you use a method of cheating. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say cheating because there's a lot of electronic music. The majority of the music I listen to is programmed and is electronic music, but a lot of it's progressive. It's artists that are looking to create something new, and a lot of the electronic music that's being produced, that's being touted as electronic music or as techno that's on the radio, is simply a loop. It's a beat with a loop, and oftentimes it's very unchallenging. To the producer and to the listener, which doesn't help anyone.
From what I know about society and how music sells nowadays, and the culture is the main driving force behind the record labels that actually make the popular music, because music is there, but it's not gonna be popular until someone makes it so, and it takes a lot of money to do so. In nowadays, you can't just become popular and famous by playing in a, I don't know, Bremen Cafe every week, and having a nice following. But
this is really true.
The people, the studies showed that people like songs with less lyrics and more repetition. It's just like down, down, diddy, diddy, down, down, bum, bum, down, and it just goes on. And people, they just want it.
Party,
they just want repetitive. They don't want to think. They don't want to understand. They don't want to feel even the music. They just want something to get their mind away from
a distraction.
They just want a distraction, which is kind of sad.
It is sad.
And so the same thing is with the film industry, the movies. I watch the movies, and it's very hard. I stopped watching movies. I don't watch any new movies.
As someone that's hosting a film review show on this station, and as someone who watches a lot of movies, I think that's probably the smartest comment I've heard about movies and the state of cinema in a long time.
I don't watch movies no more.
I don't watch movies no more. Is I think the smartest thing about cinema that I've heard from anyone in a long time.
Well, I still watch classics, man.
Well,
There's so
yeah,
much
there's
out
so much
there,
you
and
can learn.
foreign movies too are really good.
Yeah, but I mean, there are great movies that are being made, but it's lost in such a commingalization of over. There's too much culture, and it even sometimes is kind of it's kind of a it's kind of heresy to the word culture because it's just stuff and it's just accessories at this point to an idea that once had importance or once even mindless entertainment. I think in some ways had a little bit more important because you had to work for it, you had to wait for it. There wasn't so much instantaneousness, and accessibility and free accessibility with piracy and with the over access to information. It's just nothing sacred, nothing special anymore. So even entertainment is just something that is required. It's something that's overdone and overexposed. So it's like, well, why should I spend time thinking about this? It's just what I do all the time. So because it's something that people do all the time, it's something that's being created more and more all the time, and there's less effort being put into it. Yeah, things are getting dumber. But that's what people were saying about every generation, that this one's no good.
That's true. That's true.
There's a lot of good stuff that's still coming out, but the tendency is always to look back on the old because I think there's always whatever limitations existed 20 years ago and 20 years before that are what we're always going to be fond of, because with those limitations comes revelations. So I think that in some ways you have to take a serious look at, well, maybe things stopped being important 20 years ago or 25 years ago or 40 years ago. And with access to more resources and having to do less of the work yourself or hire people to do less of the work, I don't know, maybe something is lost in the art of creation. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, because I would think that with all the availability of the technology and all the piracy and stuff like that, because sometimes in cloud, the programs can be $5,000, $10,000 and only available to the big movie studios, but nowadays anybody can actually steal and get it or whatever, and make whatever they want to do. So and plus the internet is the community, and it's living and it's breathing and it's uniting people. And I would think that with all this access, there would be much better movies. There would be more movies with substance, but we don't see none of this. I'm just surprised and a little bit traumatized because, I haven't gone to a movie theater in years, in 5 years at least.
Oh my God.
No. I saw that movie with remember Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
They did a biography movie about the writer.
Gonzo. You talking about the movie Gonzo?
No, I think it's called Gonzo.
Yeah,
No, it was not called Gonzo. It was called like Whiskey in the Morning, something like that.
Oh, the Rum Diaries?
Yeah, the Rum Diaries.
Yeah,
I saw the Rum Diaries, and I wasn't really.
It's not really.
It was very mediocre.
It's not it's a very mediocre movie. It's a great word to put on it. It's a down the middle, a 2-star film that's hardly worth producing or worth making. And considering that it's based on one of the best works that he ever wrote, as one of the most important literary figures of the last century, it was really disappointing to see a man who never compromised for anyone and was constantly reinventing himself be portrayed fictionally in a movie that was both compromising in the worst possible way and was undecided in what it was trying to portray. It couldn't decide if it was trying to play it safe or if it was dangerous. It was a bad movie.
I was like, who is
just
this
a bad
person?
movie.
That's what up. People walking by saying hi. I love this.
This is one of the best parts of this open studio too, is that you constantly have a film going on in the background here. There's always something new. It's never the same. You'll always have a story going on back here too. Like this whole window back here is its own character. I love it.
Let me switch this topic a little bit.
Yeah.
About 4 or 5 years ago, I was walking in Oakland Avenue, and I looked up and I saw this thing. I saw the letters that said Meditation Center. And I said, oh, meditation. I heard about this in high school and college. I had professor. He was really into meditation, but
Mm-hmm.
he never really taught much about it. He was just into it, and we read all kind of weird books
Sure.
like Kafka and the Plague.
Hmm.
And there was I forgot that book. It was like half crazed rumblings
Oh,
of
by
this
Camus,
drunk
yeah.
man. This
Are you
guy.
talking Bukowski?
No. I'm not sure. It was a while back, but this guy, he goes out drinking every day. He
The
drinks
character in the book?
Yeah, he drinks tequila, with a worm and stuff that makes you trip out. And he was just drink all day and write notes. They did not make any sense. They were crazy, and they were drunken, and it was like the most it was a very famous book, because I just don't remember what it's about, but it was literally like a masterpiece considered to be, even though it was just half crazed rumblings. But I guess
That's
the writer
what
was
the best. Yeah,
famous.
I mean, that's what the best I think works of literature are. Works, crazed works by madmen that
Yeah.
somehow make sense, or no sense.
But this book right here, when I was reading Bhagavad,
Yeah.
it's not mad at all. It's actually totally sane. And how I came to this, I never heard anything about. I wasn't really much into spirituality or anything like that. Or religion, I was actually against religion. I still am. But I saw the sign that says meditation center, so I walked in and I asked about it. What is this place? And they said, "Well, come back tomorrow. We'll teach you how to meditate." So I came back. I got the really, really basic instruction of sitting there with a straight spine, and just following the breath. And when the mind strays off, you get back to the breath. And it's all fine and dandy, but for like 5 minutes, and then you get bored. So you sit there for 1 hour, not really thinking about breath, thinking about anything else but breath. Mostly, I spent a lot of time thinking how bored I am and how ready I was to get up. But sitting there meditating for an hour, half an hour, sometime, even 5-10 minutes, gets you really, really, really acquainted with this boredom thing, this emptiness, with not
Emptiness, yeah.
doing, yeah, which is something that the world really, really lacks.
It's what is completely lacking in every single way, in every asset of life, well, not in every culture, but it's becoming the epidemic of our world, is that we're trying to escape boredom so much that in effect you make everything boring. By trying to escape boredom, and with social networking, by trying to escape your loneliness, or escaping from your fears, or running from what
Running from yourself.
Not even admitting that you're running. There's nothing wrong with running as long as you're running to something or running with a purpose. But to be running from something forever is, if you don't stop and take, and look at what am I running from and where am I going, and just allow yourself to be miserable once in a while, and just admit that you're fucking unhappy and fucking
Being
miserable.
honest.
Being honest with yourself. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like a world functioning on entertainment as fuel and wondering why nothing's entertaining. I think it's a
But,
vicious cycle, yeah, for sure. But I think that a book like that,
Still,
it
as a book itself, it's still just entertainment.
yeah, but it's a pretty damn valuable piece of entertainment.
Yeah,
It-
but
if
I've
something
read
could-
2 chapters of it, and they are completely not of this life.
Yeah,
They don't. I mean, there's this existence, and there's the other existence, which is not existence.
Yeah, non-existence.
Like there's things we do, and then there's boredom. The things that we try to get away from. But if we get into boredom,
yeah.
and actually make boredom into a friend, everything else becomes so much brighter. And it's just for me personally, after a few years ago, I found out that I'm having a quite good time. I'm actually having the best time of my life, just sitting there looking at the white wall. After I found that out, after that actually became like a reality for me, the world just became became full of rainbows and butterflies and smiling faces. And people can look at me and be mean, but I still see a smile. I I haven't gotten sad.
The re-enchantment.
I mean,
Re-enchantment.
enchantment.
Like you became enchanted with life again.
Right. I mean, there's so much in just the presence of yourself and to being. If you take a breath and you study this breath, just one breath, really methodically, and you study it by every instance and nuisance of the breath. The breath, just one instant breath, is so vast.
It's a miracle. I agree with you completely, and I think what you're saying is really important because it's not only is it the basic function of our lives, but it's continuous, and it's sub-audible, and it's always it's ubiquitous, and it's also the most forgotten. The most prevalent action of our lives is the most unnoticed, which says a lot about how we live our lives and how culture functions nowadays, and what we deem as important instead of what is really important, what is essential, what is necessary, and what is vital, and in all the true meanings of those words. Instead, what we focus on as important is what we find interesting or what we want, what we desire, which is the ultimate challenge of living. Is what do we desire?
What do we desire?
And I mean, just look at how even with our entertainment, there are things that we can do that are more important than others, but oftentimes we subscribe to what we find interesting, and then we convince ourselves that it's important.
Convince ourselves.
So I think what you're saying is really important, that focusing, I think if we did take time, instead of saying the Pledge of Allegiance in school every and from grades what to what, if instead of saying that,
really
I think if we focused on our breathing for 5 minutes, I think I mean, who knows what the
Kids would be
possibilities
smarter.
Like,
yeah, there would be much more better grades.
They'd have 5 minutes to calm the fuck down for a second, and forget what it's like to be in that fluorescent jungle. High school is a strange time, strange place. Nowhere else.
I don't know. I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, me neither.
But I look at the TV shows they have, and I don't like what I see.
I don't like what I see either. I agree with you.
I like Punky Brewster. Remember Punky Brewster?
I was on the air when I was like a little kid, so I've seen reruns of it.
Yeah, you've seen reruns, so you know at least what
I know
it's
what
about.
it is, yeah.
It was like for kids. It was full of warmth and decent acting.
Kids were kids.
Kids
were allowed to be kids.
It was full of warmth. Yeah. Nowadays,
kids have to act like they're like 35. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really disgusting. What I see on MTV and what I see as reality television.
I believe that kids are quite old. I mean, if a kid acts like she is 35, that's a good thing. If a 35-year-old acts like a kid, that's a great thing too. And you talk a little bit. Okay, she's coming here. Good. Celeste is here. I wanna get her up here and maybe she say it a little bit.
Hey,
Celeste.
I actually have to jump off here.
Right.
But dude, great talking with you. And I'm sure I'll see you around the neighborhood again. Hi, it was great talking on the show. All right, bye-bye. I'm gonna hand it over to Chile again.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Back to reality, as if we left it. No, it's still here, and when we go to sleep, it'll still be here, and when we go to eternal sleep, it'll still be here. Reality is real as real can get. And here we are, back again. Hopefully a little later on, Celeste will come up here and we can talk some art. But until then, I'm gonna talk some Gita. In the previous chapters that I read up here, chapters 1 and 2, what was said was pretty vast. The meaning of the Gita is infinite, but in basic language, all I can say is in the first chapter, we have a battlefield with Prince Arjuna, who is kind of like he's a good warrior, but he has doubts because the war is against his kin, his family, and even though they're apparently not very good folk because they're greedy, they want his kingdom or something like that, he still feels really, really bad about waging war and killing his friends and seeing his friends dead. And there's teachers on the other side that were his teachers, and there's his teachers that might be die. So, Celeste, come on my show, please. Oh, oh, I love you. Well, yeah. Celeste, she's such a beautiful, wonderful person. Milwaukee's finest. There's a lot of them. Milwaukee is full of diamonds and pearls and gems. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't like Milwaukee. Milwaukee is boring. People are, rude or something." And I tell them, "Have you been around Milwaukee? Did you spend some time getting to know small places like River West Video?" I haven't been up here forever until this year. And I came in and I'm like, wow, why did I just pass by this place and never really stop by and got to know people? Hey, there's so many great, great movies in River West Video that you can never get anywhere else. Netflix, can't get that. Blockbuster, can't get that. eBay, can't get that. Amazon, maybe for like $100 sometimes, because there's some really, really hard to find films up here. Right. And we also have so much music in the city. And usually it's free and available to everybody. Open up your Shuffles Express and take a look. Go somewhere where you have not been before. Check out something that is different. Learn about the cultures and the people and the flavors of this life. Because we, as ourselves, we're growing up in a rather secluded environment, knowing only our parents and relatives at first, and then only going to our school and getting introduced to likes and dislikes that our friends like and dislike. Um, I had no idea I enjoyed meditation until I actually sat and meditated, and I lived 29 years on this earth before I actually got a chance to do it. And some people never even hear that there is such thing called meditation and peace. Because meditation and peace to me are synonymous, or if not even identical. So people sometimes go and sit meditating like, oh, my mind is running, my mind is running. But to see the peace of the mind running, that's really precious. That's what it's all about, in my point of view personally. When people sit there and meditate and they're like, "Oh, I cannot do this," it's like, okay, you cannot do this, but at least you know what's going on, what you're doing, and what's your ability, what you can do, you cannot. And that knowledge, that understanding, is what Krishna talks about in the second chapter of Gita. But in the first chapter, what happened was like this Arjuna, right? He is crying to his best friend Krishna. He said, "Krishna, man, I cannot go around killing brethren. I don't like killing. Period. I don't want to go kill." And Krishna says, "Ah, You have to kill because it's a duty. You as a warrior, you're a protector. You gotta do what you gotta do. Uh, and then he goes on into saying that this body is like a cloth that our soul puts on and takes off, and nobody really dies. Nobody really is born. So it's okay to go around killing, as long as uh, you're doing your duty. Your duty, because you can't just go around killing for no reason, or even if you got a reason, but it's not honorable. I mean, after all, there is cause and effect, unless there isn't any, which is called transcendence. But to get to a transcendent state, um, a being needs to really, really work hard at it. Um, which Krishna talks about in the end of second chapter, that to get to this understanding of transcendence, um, people gotta really, really quell their desires and dull their senses and put the mind on the self instead of on the other objects, sense objects, because brooding over sensuous objects makes attachment to them grow, and from attachment desire comes, and from desire comes anger and jealousy, and that leads to confusion, and confusion leads to not being really present, not even knowing what's going on, missing things, and then that leads to just all kind of hell, and everything is ruined, and wars are being fought, and it's just sad. So we want to get away from what is sad and get away to where is peace and joy. Um, and Krishna says that to get to this joyous, peaceful state, a man needs to renounce all desires and cravings and take rest in the infinity of spirit. And once somebody can really get there, the being escapes death, getting immortality. So we come to the third teaching, which is called discipline of action. Arjuna, he says, if you think understanding is more powerful than action, why, Krishna, do you urge me to this horrific act? You confuse my understanding with a maze of words. Speak one certain truth, so I may achieve what is good. I can see where Arjuna is coming from. He says, well, Krishna, dude, here you are talking how actions don't really mean much because nobody is born, nobody is dead, and it is the understanding that's important, not the action. But at the same time, you tell me to go and wage the war. And I'm confused because I don't want to wage the war. But you're saying that I should, and at the same time, you're saying it doesn't really matter. Or is it what you're saying? What are you saying, Krishna? And Lord Krishna says, earlier, I taught the twofold basics of good in this world. For philosophers, disciplined knowledge. For men of discipline, action. A man cannot escape the force of action by abstaining from actions. He does not attain success just by renunciation. No one exists for even an instant without performing action. However unwilling, every being is forced to act by the qualities of nature. Um, Here Krishna says that uh, he says that for people with why who are cherishing wisdom, for wise people, the basis of good in this world is disciplined knowledge, which is knowledge of abstinence from craving, from attachment. You know, that's what disciplined knowledge is. Because knowledge just by itself, knowledge you can be like, oh, I know how to read, oh, I know how to write, but knowing things does not really give peace. Hey, Frankie. Never mind. Frankie just left. Wanted him to come by. Frankie Latina is like really famous Milwaukee movie maker. Look up his movie Modus Operandi on Netflix. He's actually one of the only few Milwaukee folks who made it to Netflix. So, mazel tov to Frankie. Back to Krishna. So that's what disciplined knowledge is, because knowledge is not just empty knowledge, just knowledge of the facts. It has to be disciplined knowledge. Discipline means really experiential, knowing of how things are, how things work. And he says, for men of discipline, what is good is action. So I guess what he says is once people get to know, they ought to act. Because what good is knowledge without action? If you know how to save the world and you don't do it, what good is this knowledge? Then Krishna goes on saying that people cannot get away from doing things. They can stop doing things, but they'll still be doing things. Every moment, something is getting done. There's always action. It's just the way nature is. So he says, when his senses are controlled, but he keeps recalling sense objects with his mind, he is a self-deluded hypocrite. When he controls his senses with his mind and engages in the discipline of action with his faculties of action, detachment sets him apart. Krishna says that when people say that, oh, yeah, I can control my senses. Yeah, I don't really want this, I don't want that, I'm just cool as I am. But the person's mind thinks of pleasures, thinks of, I don't know, comfortable beds, good food, beautiful mates, whatever we wish for, we wish for a lot of things. I'm talking about just myself. Every moment I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm hungry, I want something to eat. But in reality, I'm not really hungry. I I like feeling hungry. It's just I'm thinking it because my mind is not as trained as it should be, or I'd like it to be, or as it is what it is. Onward, onward. Yeah, that's what Krishna says. He says once people really control their senses, and they are engaged in this discipline of controlling it. So they're not just able to do it, but they're doing it. Then the person really stands out, because the person is rather detached from the positive and negative effects of whatever happens. Person is hungry, good. Person is thirsty, good. Person is not hungry, good. It's all good. Not attached to a state of mind. All right. Perform necessary action. It is more powerful than inaction. Without action, you even fail to sustain your own body. Action imprisons the world unless it is done as sacrifice. Freed from attachment, Arjuna, perform action as sacrifice. Hmm. Here Krishna says that you gotta do what you gotta do. If you don't do, then nothing gets done. You can't even live if you're not feeding yourself or giving yourself water or just sustaining yourself. You cannot live. So you gotta do action to be, to live. But action by itself, it is sort of like it's like a double-edged sword, meaning it can it can get you into a negative state. It can put you into a prison of attachment, or it can liberate you. But to liberate you, the action needs to be performed as a sacrifice. Um, Sacrifice is a really good word, and I'm sure it makes a lot of sense in this context. But I myself, I'm not exactly sure what sacrifice means up here. Maybe if I read a little farther, we'll figure it out because mm, as I can understand, sacrifice can only mean, like when you have something and then you give it away, you sacrifice it. Um, so maybe what Krishna means, do actions as a sacrifice to the good, to God. I'm not sure. This book doesn't talk about God, actually. Um, I was talking to some folks on internet recently, and they said that Bhagavad Gita means a song of God, and I I looked it up. So Gita means, yeah, a song, but Bhagavad does not mean God. Mm-mm. It gave me the Sanskrit dictionary gave me something like 10 um, different definitions of the word Bhagavad, and none of them were God. But they're sort of similar because it means holy or sacred, divine, really really special. So yeah, it does not mean a song of God. Thus, I disagree with people who say that Krishna is God, because Krishna is like, uh, from what I understand, he's like a avatar or a Buddha. Um, he he's a being in the know. He's enlightened, but with him being enlightened, he cannot be God, because God is such a just God is such a petty, petty term, petty word for that which is. God is very petty. It's very small and limiting. That's what I think. How it really is, I don't know. I don't claim to know anything. I don't even claim to know that I don't know. I don't know what I do claim. But this is what I think. So, onward to the book. When creating living beings and sacrifice, Prajapati, the primordial creator, said, by sacrifice will you procreate. Let it be your wish granting cow. Foster the gods with this, and they may foster you. By enriching one another, you will achieve a higher good. Enriched by a sacrifice, the gods will give you the delights you desire. He is a thief who enjoys their gifts without giving to them in return. Good men eating the remnants of sacrifice are free of any guilt. But evil men who cook for themselves eat the food of sin. Creatures depend on food. Food comes from rain. Rain depends on sacrifice, and sacrifice comes from action. All right. Um, Forget about what I've said 5 minutes ago. Ah. This is really interesting because I'm not exactly. I have no idea what Krishna says. I need to. This is, I think, has to come with Hindu religion. Um, so I will just bear with me, and I will try to say what I know, and you guys can make up your own mind, or better yet, do some research, do some studying, and come up with something more concrete than what I come up with. But this is what Krishna says. He said that there is a there's a there's a being that has no birth, has no death, that was always there, and he gives him a name, Prajapati. Um, I never heard that word before, that name, but here we go. Apparently, this Prajapati fella to Krishna is a creator. I personally always thought that Hindu creator was called Brahma. Brahma is a creator god, and Vishnu is a sustainer god that sustains the creation, and Shiva is a destroyer god which destroys the creation so it can arise anew, of course, as the cycle continues. And altogether, all these three gods, there is another deity in Hindu religion which is like, I think, a being with three heads, and one head is a Brahma, one head is a Vishnu, one head is a Shiva. But there's also a portrayal of Shiva as a man, and there's a portrayal of Shiva as a man and woman, like half man, half woman. Yeah, Hindu religion is really, um, it's really loose, and there's a lot of cults, and even there's cults in Hindu which are atheists, and they're still Hindu, and then there's ones who are completely devoted to worshiping God, and there's cults that are completely devoted to worshiping death, and yeah, Hindu is like. India is like a birthplace of all religions. Every aspect of every religion existing is in Hindu religion, or one aspect of one some Hindu sect. So back to the book. Uh, so Krishna says that this creator God declared that he says that people need to sacrifice, need to lose in order to gain. Um, I think it can be like in order if you want to have a baby, you gotta lose some sperm. You know, it's like me as a guy talking. Yeah. Hmm. But I also find it interesting that uh, up here, instead of having like a wish granting gem or wish granting oil lamp that brings out the genie, we have a cow. Wish granting cow. Right. Hmm. So that's what this Prajapati, creator god, as Krishna calls him, says. He says you have to the good things they come from gods sometimes, and gods they give you things, but they want something back. And if you just get what God gives you but don't give it back, you're gonna be like a thief, and you're gonna make God mad. um, but if you sacrifice something, it could be your time, or it could be some money. You have something and you give it away, and you don't feel any remorse about it, then you're a good person. But if you even giving money away, for example, in order to get yourself, some good points, then you're not very good. You're just no good. So when you go to church, or you see a homeless person, don't give some money just to feel good about yourself, or to know that you're a good person, to get some points with God, to score some good karma. No, that's not good karma. That's not good points with God. If you give money out of to a homeless person out of the goodness of your heart, because the person is hungry, for example, and you just, oh, hungry man, here's a sandwich, please eat. Then this is a sandwich given in honest goodness. How can honesty and goodness go wrong? But when it comes to stuff like that, it's like here we have like a person begging for change, and you're like, oh, he must be hungry. You give him $5, and the person says, "Ooh, thank you. I'm gonna go get me a soup plate or something." And the person goes to the neighborhood crack dealer and buys him or herself uh, some drugs, and gets high, and goes around killing and stealing or something. Well, that's not good. So I think the best thing there is to know what you're doing, and know who you're dealing with. But it's good to take some kind of hope in humanity of people. 'Cause we're so similar, and in all of us there's seeds of negativity and seeds of positivity. So just because some people water the negative seeds, it doesn't mean that they lack the positive seeds. Creatures depend on food. Food comes from rain. Rain depends on sacrifice, and sacrifice comes from action. Action comes from the spirit of prayer, whose source is Om, sound of the imperishable. So the pervading infinite spirit is ever present in rites of sacrifice. So I guess every action comes uh, from the intent, whose source is Om. Om is a very interesting syllable in Sanskrit language and some other languages, as in Tibetan, I'm sure Nepali, and a few other Eastern ones. And if you listen really, really closely to the subtle humming in your right ear, and everybody has it, then you will hear this Om sound, which is sort of like supposedly a sound that the whole entire universe makes. It is a sound of emptiness. It is a sound of fullness. It is a sound of everything that is and everything that isn't. It's just, it's like a sound of reality. So Krishna says every action, everything that happens arises out of this Om. And Om is by itself is eternal. It's always been there, it's always will be. It's not it's not it, it's just Om. And everything comes from it. So when we do action, we're always having this spirit of Om with us in everything that we do. He who fails to keep turning the wheel here set in motion wastes his life in sin. Addicted to the senses, Arjuna. But when a man finds delight within himself and feels inner joy and pure contentment in himself, there is nothing more to be done. He has no stake here, in deeds done or undone, nor does his purpose depend on other creatures. Always perform with detachment any action you must do. Performing action with detachment, one achieves supreme good. So, Krishna says that people who are really not really aware of what they're doing, they're just going based on their desires. Oh, I'm hungry, I eat. Oh, I'm sleepy, I sleep. Oh, I'm horny, I gotta go find me a mate. People like that, they they just waste their lives. They just waste their lives. But when somebody finds a really, really, really peaceful state of contentment and just satisfaction with the person being just a person, with not doing satisfaction of presence. Like, I am chilly chill and I am satisfied and I'm happy being chilly chill and I don't need anything else. I'm happy as I am. I can sit here and read this book and be happy. I can quit reading this book and be happy. I'm just happy as I am. Well, Krishna says when person becomes really happy and content just as they are, there's nothing else to do. That is it. And everything that's done or not done or undone or redone is done because it needs to be done and not because someone else wants it or it's not dependent on anything other in any phenomena, any being other than self. So Krishna recommends to always perform actions without expectations of the result, whether it's gonna be good or bad. You gotta do what you gotta do. Result, no matter what it is, you just accept it and learn and understand what happens, what is going on. And this way, you get the most good out of it. Because look at this: if you're gonna do something right, and you get bad result, you're gonna get sad. If you're gonna do something and you gotta get good result, you're gonna get happy. But if you're gonna do something without expecting any result, you're gonna be happy from the beginning because you're just happy doing things, and gotta be happy at the end because, well, nothing beats the satisfaction of getting something done. And even if it's a failure, it's still good. Back to the book. Janaka and other ancient kings attained perfection by action alone. Seeing the way to preserve the world, you should act. Whatever a leader does, the ordinary people also do. He sets the standard for the world to follow. Um, back in the days, probably more than 5,000 years ago, because from what I hear, this book is about 5,000 years old. Also, I think it was written about 2,500 years ago. It was written down, but um, who really knows? Not me. Maybe somebody, but the person is not an ordinary human being. So Krishna says, back in the days, there was this king Janaka, and along other kings, and I don't know why he says kings, but I'm sure it's some paupers there too. But this Janaka achieved some sort of perfection through acting and just acting. That's how he got there. So he recommends to Arjuna that if you gotta preserve, you gotta act. So if you see somebody is about to, I don't know, kill a baby, you gotta act and stop the person into killing baby. And sometimes you might even have to kill a killer before the killer kills. You gotta do what you gotta do. That's what my first teacher said. I followed him for like 8 years or so. Well, we were friends. I still am friends with him. I just haven't seen him in many years. And I see him as a teacher of some sorts. I was 19, and he was homeless, and I became homeless, and he learned. He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot of survival and just understanding and wisdom. But when it comes to teachings, there weren't any specific ones. The only ones that I did, that he did spoke of as really simple. He said, "You gotta do what you gotta do. That's all. You gotta figure this shit out yourself. You gotta do what you gotta do." He also used to say, "Shut up and listen." It took me a long time before I fully understood what he meant. And it's such a really, really, really good teaching. The best teaching, one of the best teachings I've ever heard. Just shut up and listen. Yeah, so Krishna says that when a leader acts, everybody looks at the leader. So he is the one responsible for the people following him, because the people, a lot of people, they they're followers, and if a leader is a good leader, then the people become leaders. Yeah, that's what I think. I think the best world is when there is no leader and there is no follower, because everybody's a leader and everybody's a follower. I myself, I feel that sometimes I know something better than somebody else, and when that happens, I should take charge of whatever's happening. And most of the times, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I am dependent on other people. So sometimes it's good to be a leader, and sometimes it's good to be a follower. Depends on who you are and what you know. And in the three worlds, there is nothing I must do. Nothing unattained to be attained. Yet I engage in action. What if I did not engage relentlessly in action? Man, retrace my path at every turn, Arjuna. These worlds would collapse if I did not perform action. I would create disorder in society. Living beings would be destroyed. As the ignorant act with attachment to actions, Arjuna, so wise men should act with detachment to preserve the world. No wise man disturbs the understanding of ignorant men attached to action. He should inspire them, performing all actions with discipline. Huh. Krishna says that there is nothing to be attained, nothing to be gotten. So, hypothetically speaking, there's nothing that needs to be done. Because you do things in order to get things, but there's nothing to get. What is there to do? Yet, the action goes on. What if action did not went on? Krishna says, when if there would be no action, everything would just fall apart, and everybody would just die, and there would be chaos, and that's it. No more goodness, no more order, no more society. Everybody is just living in a hellish state. And then he goes on to say that um, even though action needs to be done, there's two types of people who do the actions. There's the ignorant folk, and there's the wise man. And what makes ignorant ignorant is that they do their actions with attachment. So they really like what they're doing, and they really do things in order to get results. And then when the results are bad, they get sad and happy when their results are good. So, but they're really attached to this whole, to what they're doing and why they're doing it, and what is the result of them doing it will be. But men who are wise, they act with detachment because their purpose is not themselves. Their purpose is the world. The purpose of wise men's actions is to preserve it, to to keep it from breaking apart. No wise man disturbs the understanding of ignorant men attached to action. He should inspire them, performing all actions with discipline. Actions are all affected by the qualities of nature, but diluted by individuality. The self thinks, I am the actor, when he can discriminate the actions of nature's qualities and think the qualities depend on other qualities. He's detached. Here Krishna says that just by being wise, a wise man cannot put any wisdom into ignorant folk. But instead of trying to put wisdom into ignorant folk, a wise person should inspire them by being, by doing actions, by performing duty, by being disciplined. And by discipline, it means without attachment to the result, being transcendent. So, Krishna says, you can't put wisdom into folk, you can only inspire them. You can only make them want to be like you, but you cannot make them be like you. Actions are really results of bunch of causes. What we do is really affected by the surroundings and the nature of reality. But we, as ourselves, we think that it is us who is the actor who's the does the things. But a wise person sees how actions come from other actions, and qualities of phenomena depend on other qualities. And when the person sees that, then the person becomes detached. Detached from whatever the results of actions are, from detached from self. People who are not detached, they're indulged in self. Everybody got little egos sometimes, like ego is an illusion in the real world, like real as, but like in a super real world it's an illusion, but it's still being an illusion. It is still there, just because you can say that, oh, I don't have a self. You're still saying I. um so people who are really attached to their actions, results, to what's going on, are a bit really bit delusional. Krishna says they're they misunderstand what's going on. They misunderstand themselves. They misunderstand uh, reality around them, and they get confused. So a man of wisdom, Krishna recommends that a man of wisdom should not uh, should not really meddle with the man of lesser understanding and who don't want to learn, because trying to teach truth to person that despises the truth will only make the person despise the truth more, and it would hurt the person and probably someone else at the end. So if you want to preserve peace, don't mess with the ignorant folk. That's what Krishna says. But I agree, with Krishna and a lot of things. Oh, look what the cat brought in. Mark Borchardt is about to enter the place. Mark, won't you come up here and be my guest?
Oleg,
Yes, hi.
it is.
Here, have a seat. We're talking about life and
You know,
space.
here, let me sit down for a moment.
Yeah, have a seat. Mark Borchardt of Milwaukee. He is
A human being, one of 7 billion, and what breaks my heart certainly is I didn't bring my camera. The memory card is full, and I see we're actually on visually on the air. Would that be correct?
somewhat. Somewhat. There's the camera right there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we're here at River West Film and Video. I'm going to. I called Zav, so I'm going to rent the Giant Spider Invasion from the mid 70s. It was shot here in Wisconsin. And I believe the actual nemesis, the gigantic spider, is a prop put over a Volkswagen Beetle. So it's actually a car. And I think
Uh-huh.
he had kids or whoever help him out, drive the car, push it, or whatever. So then I'm going to have to select the second film. But I have my own ideas, Oleg, so I know what I'm going to get.
If I may, I have nothing to do tonight. I'd like to stop by and check it out, maybe.
Okay, well, we'll that's
Yeah,
a
you
little.
invite me because I've been watching
Oh, we'll work on that. And I
bunch
just
of crap lately.
Well, you shouldn't,
So
because your time is valuable. I just one the caveat is there's the potentiality of also seeing Tennessee Williams, A Streetcar Named Desire. I've seen that
I
before,
never
but I'm
saw that.
what?
I heard about it. I heard it's a really famous movie and it's
Well, yes,
classic.
yes, it is. So you to occupy your time, I see you've been reading.
Bhagavad Gita. It's an old book.
Right.
I've heard a lot about it. I'm reading it and kind of like doing my own commentaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really an expert on Hinduism, and actually, I'm not an expert on anything. Uh,
Well, you should be
but I
an you
give my
should
honest opinion
you should
about
be an
things.
expert on your own life. You know, you should be eating well, drinking lots of water,
I'm
taking
not an.
walks.
If I was being more mindful of what I'm doing, I probably would become an expert. But most of my life just passes me by, unfortunately.
Well, you're in your early 30s, so you do have days to burn if you so choose without it becoming a irreparable situation.
It's not like I choose. It's just what happens.
Well, you
I,
choose to let it happen.
I'm a product of my habits, and
Right.
habits are so hard to break. To
Now,
break, you can't just quit drinking cold turkey. I mean, maybe you
yeah.
can, you have,
Well, I think you have said one of the
but
most
it's hard.
profound things is that habits are hard to break. They are, and you have said something wise beyond your years and identified that.
If I
Today's
said
your
that,
day, Oleg, man.
if I said that, it wasn't me. It was the book. I've been
Well,
reading
actually, no,
it
you
and
said
letting
it.
it soak it.
No, 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 dude. Through life, whether it's reading, listening to people, having various encounters and experiences, we still that becomes manifested in our universal unconscious, and you spoke it, whether you just directly read it now or not. It comes from somewhere.
It's true. It's true. Everything comes from the same source, though.
I don't know.
Some people call it God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, because all the thoughts, they come from the same source. I mean, your thoughts come from maybe your mind. My thoughts come from my mind. But if you look at this mind, and you look at the origin of mind, it's really hard to find. And if you look really, really deeply into this origin of mind, nature of mind, then you'll see that it is the same thing for you as it is for me. Thus being like uh, I don't know, one dot that unites everything else. Ah, I think
You know what I must point out, Oleg. This is like WGN in Chicago. You have they're on Michigan Avenue. I guess I haven't seen it with large windows with visual access to the directly outside, and you have one of the probably the best views in the country right here,
I'm
besides
loving it.
Mount Hood area or so.
Yeah, I sit here, I'm talking, I'm looking at people walk by, and sometimes I might get
Reel someone
a
in.
stranger
Yeah,
in.
reel a guest
Yeah,
in.
like you.
Yeah, and you
And I'm
certainly
happy
did.
you did.
Yeah, and I'm too. I'm kind of stunned and elated at the same time.
Tell me, are you working on anything?
Yeah, actually, I've got all of my writing projects, and I'm, working on a screenplay and various other stuff, and in fact, many of them in different uh, stories and so on and so forth, and like I said, I'm doing this kind of on assignment too, picking up this film here just to see if it's viable and so forth. So this is all part of it.
Hmm. How are your plays coming along?
Well, actually, you know what, Oleg, when we had that one talk,
Yeah, yeah.
actually, it actually turned into a film that I'm doing. So instead of like a
It's a
10-page play, it
film.
turned into a 30-page one. So I'm finished with that and put that aside. Then I said, well, I'll do something, that I can do with Oleg. So then I wrote another one
Right.
that's
So
shorter, that's more
wrote something.
manageable.
You wrote something for me, but
No, no, no,
forgot to
no, no,
tell me.
no, 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 dude. I wrote it for me,
Uh,
and that we could do. But that was something I had in mind before, and I actually, you put a lot of time into it. So I finished that. That's sitting there. Then I said, well, maybe we can do something with Oleg. So then I have to put that together. I've written it. It's just more or less doing now an assemblage of it that's manageable on the stage. You know what I'm saying? And then actually too, while I was in that mood, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write 100 pages of for a full length stage play. So I just committed to about like 3 months of work, and I got the 100 pages done, and then threw that aside, and it's collecting dust now. Full text, 100 pages.
let's make a play.
Well, we will,
We
and
got space. We
we,
got plenty of space.
yes. Well, let's do that. Let me assemble the one that I'm doing that's manageable. That means manageable. It's in one setting, and yes, I am. I love. Are you taking notes?
No, no,
Okay.
I'm looking at time.
Well, I'll tell you what too. How now? Let me go and get the films, and then are you still going to be on the air?
Uh, yeah,
Okay.
I got an hour left.
Oh, dude. Well, then there's a thing called rhythm and pace and pulse that we should respect. You just don't go
There is
on.
no rhythm, there is no pulse in this show. Maybe in other people's show, in this one, uh, I can pause it, I can
Mm-hmm.
leave it, I can talk to you about movies, and then next minute I can switch to the
Mm-hmm.
book, and then somebody else will can. Cause I try to keep my
You.
show like I keep my life
It's
really
an
open.
yes, and it's an existential affair. That's what it is.
You can say it like that.
No, I just
Yeah,
did.
yeah, and you did. You
Sweet,
can and you shall and you
sweet.
do, and that's the way it is.
I love it. Well, I'll tell you what. Let me make my selection, and I'm pretty darn happy about this whole thing because life has its ups and downs and so forth. And in this moment, there's a sense of spontaneity, a sense of creativity, and urgency to be on the money. I know that goes against your existential attitude
No,
at the
no,
moment, but
I
we
love
are
the
we are
money.
creating a pulse here.
Took the money.
Yeah, sweet. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll make my selection, and I'll be back, and then we'll discuss that. Okay.
All right, ready go.
And thank you too for the kind consideration of having me up there.
Oh, pleasure.
I shall return.
Okay, I'll be here.
Sweet, thank you.
Uh, in the meantime, while I'm looking for that spot in the book which where I left off, enjoy the thoughtful, soulful, uh, somewhat of a harsh singing by yours truly, Chili Chill, other known as Oleg. Don't tell anybody my name is Oleg. I kind of try to keep it a secret. So my name is Chili Chill. And if you hear people call me Oleg, um, well, I suppose you can call me Oleg too. I mean, I'll say hi and I'll answer back. But just because I'm Oleg doesn't mean I'm not chilly. And chilly I am, and chilly I do. Because I do chill and have a chilly attitude. I love the chili, vegetarian chili specifically. I try not to eat meat much nowadays. Maybe, hopefully, in the future, I won't eat meat. I won't eat meat at all, because meat is not a positive thing to consume. I became a vegetarian for 6 months before, a couple of years back, and the funny thing that I discovered is that after a few months of not eating meat, meat does not look tasty. And after a longer time of not eating meat, it doesn't just not look good, it doesn't smell good. And I love the way meat smells, but after abstinence from meat, it did not. It was like, this is too much, man. It doesn't. It's it's too much for the senses. It makes the senses crave, which is what Krishna advises against. But please, ladies and gentlemen, take a here to me going. Believe you me, this stuff, what I'm doing, actually gets me high. Yeah, so it's not like a high on the drugs. You just get, I get high like I get uh, high from doing Tai Chi. Tai Chi gets people high too. Meditation gets people high. Uh, so, where we left off, Krishna was talking about qualities being dependent on other qualities, and our actions depending on other actions. He says, well, person who sees that got wisdom. So he says, surrender all actions to me and fix your reason on your inner self without hope or possessiveness. Your fever subdued. Fight the battle. Hmm. Um, when he says surrender all actions to me, I don't know what he means. Maybe it's like give all your see your every. I think what he means is that see that every action that is done is done to the world, in the world, as a part of the world, and as you're performing actions, put your mind's eye on the inner self and let go of hopes and fears and attachments to that, to anything. And if you do that, the fever of desire will get subdued and you will get more strength to fight the battle. Men who always follow my thought, trusting it without finding fault, are freed even by their actions. But those who find fault and fail to know my thought know that they are lost fools, deluded by every bit of knowledge. Hmm. He says that men who listen to these teachings about not being attached to action, who just understand it and follow it, they become free from delusions. So it doesn't matter whether they do something or not do something. What's important is that they follow the thought of unattachment, of detachment. But those who don't want to do that, who like being attached to their ice cream, they get fat because they're lost fools. And then they get problems with hearts or whatever. So don't eat ice cream because you like it. Eat ice cream because it's good within certain qualities and limits. Eat one scoop. Don't go for three scoops. Even a man of knowledge behaves in accord with his own nature. Creatures all conform to nature. What can one do to restrain them? Attraction and hatred are poised in every object of every sense experience. A man must not fall prey to these two brigands lurking on his path. Your own duty done imperfectly is better than another man's done well. It is better to die in one's own duty. Another man's duty is perilous. So, Krishna says that everybody acts as themselves, whether they're fools or wise men. All beings act as themselves, and nothing can really stop them. And in every moment, we have a bunch of experiences of the senses, and with each of these experiences, attachment or aggression is present. They're always present in every moment that we live, that we breathe. We're accessible to either going towards something or getting away from something, attachment or hatred. But a man, like a man of who wants to do good, who he should or she should see these these bad guys, and not go their way, because attraction, attachment and hatred, aversion are not healthy. So if you are not healthy, meaning if you are suffering from not being happy all the time, if you're suffering from some kind of a depression, don't go getting attached to stuff. Don't go hating things. Just relax. Take it easy. What you do is just good. It's good. Even if it's not perfect, you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta at least put some effort. The effort is what matters. It's not the result of action. It is the duty, the effort, the purpose of you being. You are being to exist. So as exist, you gotta act. And it's better than you do your thing than you let another person do your thing, because then the other person is just gotta mess it all up. Even the person does it good. How are you gonna feel knowing that somebody else done what you should have been doing? Krishna, oh sorry, Arjuna says concerning all that Krishna taught him so far. Krishna, what makes a person commit evil against his own will, as if compelled by force? Krishna, what makes a person commit evil against his own will, as if compelled by force? Interesting question. I guess sometimes things do happen. Arjuna wonders that men being good, they do not want to do what is bad, but they still perform bad, they still do bad. And it's not necessarily because they want to, something makes them. And that's what he's asking Krishna. And Krishna says, it is desire and anger arising from the nature's quality of passion. Know it here as the enemy, voracious and very evil. As fire is obscured by smoke and the mirror by dirt, and embryo is veiled by its cowl, so is knowledge obscured by this. Knowledge is obscured by the wise man's internal enemy, which takes form as desire, an insatiable fire, Arjuna. Here Krishna says that people do bad because they want to. But they don't, not because they want to. It's because they have this really strong egos, and the egos, they drive them to getting more possessions and getting angry at those who want to take possessions. Oh, and egos makes people want other people's possessions, and this selfishness, this egoism, is the enemy of humanity or beings, human of peace. And this ego thing is what obscures wisdom. So once we let go of the ego, once we start thinking of ourselves as like somebody that deserves this, somebody that wants that, somebody that needs to lose this, then we become more wise once we lose this attachment to who we think we are. So Krishna says desire is the man's eternal enemy. The senses, mind, and understanding I said to harbor desire. With these, desire obscures knowledge and confounds the embodied self. Therefore, first restrain your senses, Arjuna, then kill this evil that ruins knowledge and judgment. Men say that the senses are superior to their objects, the mind superior to the senses, understanding superior to the mind. Higher than understanding is the self. Knowing the self beyond understanding, sustain the self with the self. Great warrior, kill the enemy menacing you in the form of desire. So Krishna says that this desire, which is the enemy, come from the senses, our six senses, eight senses, which are taste and smell and sight and ear and touch. These are five ordinary senses, and then there's a sixth sense, which is our mind, which senses thoughts. which is also uh, gives birth to desire, Krishna says. And even understanding gets more desire. Because, look, you read Bhagavad Gita, you understand Bhagavad Gita. No, you don't. You want to understand more. Because how your understanding is not big. Like my understanding is not big. Whose understanding is big? Only Krishna's probably. So we all want to be Krishna. I want to be Krishna. Yeah, but do I really want to be Krishna? No, no, no. It's desire. I wouldn't mind being Krishna, but I'm not gonna go torturing myself. So I'm gonna drop that desire. I'm just gonna be aware of it. Oh yeah, I got a seed, but I'm not gonna water the seed. Um, so that's what Krishna says. He says to Arjuna that you gotta restrain the senses. Like you eat one scoop of ice cream and it tastes good, and you want a second scoop of ice cream because it tastes good, but you restrain yourself. You say no, one is enough for me. I'm on a diet. I want to lose weight, and then you get yourself a peace of mind. You don't go around promoting what ruins your sound judgment, your desire. Um, so here's like a little formula that Krishna gives. He says that the senses that sees the objects are better than the objects because senses can take in much more. Object is just one; it comes and it goes. But senses, it sees many objects. But the mind is even better than the senses because the mind, it can it makes sense of the senses. It can create objects through visualization. And if you're really, really good at this visualization thing, you can create your dreams and smells and anything else in your mind. But even the mind is inferior to understanding, which is knowing how things are done, knowing how everything works, knowing who you are. But even that, even but this understanding is still uh, is still inferior to that which is the self. Like like Jaja, which is this the self that is I, which encompasses your mind and the senses and everything else. Is this the self? So once we get to know the self, we need to bypass all the senses. We have to bypass the mind. We need to bypass the understanding to get to know the self, because the self is such a thing that it's not really there. You cannot look at it. You cannot study it. It's beyond our understanding of our human mind. So to get to the self, you need to drop that which makes you as a person. Because the self that Krishna talks about is not the personality self. It's the big self. It's the self of all selves. We all have this self in us. It's what some people, when they talk of God, they say, "Oh, this there's a part of God in us," and this part of God is the self, which is indestructible. So, knowing this, you gotta go and kill the enemy. And you gotta see the enemy as desire and then be merciless. And then you will be victorious. That's what Krishna advises Arjuna in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Um, Thus comes the end of the third chapter, and I can just sit here and chill a little bit. I was hoping to take a break about half an hour ago and get me a cup of coffee, but then Mark came and didn't get a cup of coffee, so I missed my coffee, and I love it. I love my coffee just like I love my tea. Matter of fact, usually when I go out, I order both coffee and tea. Sometimes I order black tea, and sometimes I order green just because the coffee is black. And it's always nice to have a choice of something light and something a little more heavy. Choices are so good in a life. I can't imagine what's it like living a life without a choice. But if you kind of look at it, there is no choice in life. Everything that happens is based on the past. I'm only scratching my head because it itches. If it didn't itch, I would not scratch. But if it itches and I can say, well, I'm not gonna scratch it this time. I would sow a seed of detachment. Detachment from action. Action is what? It's like most actions that we do are generic. Most actions that we do are just our reactions to our state of mind. If you're angry, you go yelling. If you're happy, you go laughing. But when the person gets control of the senses, then through work, of course, then the person should be able to just say no to the ego mind, the ego self. I fasted for a week a few weeks ago, and it was really mind opening experience because I was hungry at first, but then I wasn't hungry later. And what I realized is that this hunger, it's not a real hunger. I wasn't feeling hungry because I was hungry. I was just feeling hungry because I'm so used to eating. I remember when um, when they put this thing on my car. I had a third drunk driving, and I was a heavy duty alcoholic for many years. I spent 8 years being homeless, and being a homeless bum, there's not much else to do but to drink and get some money to drink. And it's very hard. Drinking is hard, and getting money to drink is hard. And it's a really, really hard life. Ah, Angela. Hey, Angela. It's going good. Come, won't you be my guest? Um, I'm having a show here about art and life. Hi, long time no see.
Oh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been uh, I've been doing actually overtime. The show that I'm having is 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Come sit here, cause this is a microphone.
I have to get
Oh, you don't
something
want?
to go.
Oh, I was gonna talk to you. You're such a, I don't know, artistic person,
Okay.
and my show is about art
Hello?
and life. So,
Okay.
you're already a third guest today.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you
Right.
been here?
Since 3:30.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Are we talking somewhere now?
I think so. I think yeah, you're being picked up.
Oh.
You can even see it. See,
Hi.
there's a camera right there. Yeah. I'm kind of hiding because you're the
Oh.
star.
So what's been going on? I'm moving away.
Away from Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I was just talking how everybody wants to move away from Milwaukee because they say Milwaukee is boring. There's nothing here to do. There's so much, but
I love this place. I love
it's great to
Milwaukee.
get out and check out what's
Yeah.
other what,
I
what the world
know.
has to offer.
It's just nerve-wracking, changing everything.
What made you just flip out?
Lots of little things in a row, and then I just was like, I can't do anything more.
Was it like
I need to reboot. I need to start over and unplug and plug back in.
It works. It works.
And I
Rude
need to be
awakening like
around
that?
people that are genetically obligated to take care of me. So that's where I'm going to Texas.
Texas.
Yep.
Why Texas of all the places?
That's where my dad lives. Hi,
Ah.
Angela.
Angela, Mark,
Hi.
thanks for being on Ollie's show.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
And, I'll see you in a little bit.
Are you gonna be around the house today? I mean, like, what are your plans
Maybe,
tonight?
maybe not, man. We'll see.
Alright, just give me a call.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna go to practice probably, but I don't have to. So, um, I'll just I'll just keep my day open until
Don't worry
it gets
about
filled.
anything, man. There's
I no worry, man. I stay airy. Me no worry, yeah, man.
Ollie, have a good night. Angela, have a good night.
Thank
See guys in
you.
a bit.
It's so nice to be in Milwaukee River West. Everybody knows each other.
I love this. I love River West. I'm living in Bayview right now. I hate it.
Mm. Maybe that's why you want to move out of here. I don't know, but good luck.
Thank you. I have your information, so my computer, I had to shoot a wedding and then it crashed.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to get all my files back. So
Are
the
you talking about
pictures that
those
you
pictures?
took, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I have a little, it's a PowerBook G4 from like 10 years ago. So it was, I know.
Yeah, those things they take to break often when they
Well,
get older.
it's been good for 10 years, but it's.
You know what my buddy told me? An interesting story. He said that uh, after his computer, like a MacBook, broke a few times and he fixed it a few times, he sent it to Macintosh people, and he wrote him a letter that he said, "Well, your guys are so good, and your computers are so good, and your service is so good, but this computer keeps breaking, and once you fix it, they fix it for free."
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
the thing is, this one is like from 1998. It's due. I'm due
Oh, yeah,
for a
it's
new
like
one.
it's
So,
all
all right, I'll be in contact before I go.
fine. Good
I had this really great idea. I got all this lighting for this wedding that I did. They bought me lighting as
Right.
part of my payment, and so do you know Dennis? The peanut.
Dennis, he's got tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Dennis.
Okay.
I lost his number. Lost his
He
contact.
has a big studio space, so I was
Really?
thinking that I was going to put something on Facebook about if people want to get together with me before I go and do a photo shoot with just me and them. You know what I mean? With
It'd
any
be nice.
idea,
Yeah, yeah.
any idea. You know what I mean? Like we could
You
dress
know,
up like
I-
Sesame Street characters if you wanted to. But I think it'd be fun to do that because I have 2 weeks to kill.
Why don't we throw a ball?
Ooh.
Yeah, throw. Well, I sometimes have Halloween balls, which are like after Halloween, before Halloween, and like we have a Halloween like masquerade. Not in the Halloween. Let's just have a masquerade.
Yes.
And take pictures, and
Sure,
everybody
huh?
can dress up in costumes.
Yes. That's a good idea. I like that. That's
I don't know,
easier because
we'll invite all the
everybody's
musicians,
schedules are
all the gypsies, and we'll have a big
yeah.
bash.
Yeah, if you see Ryan, tell him I said hello. I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
All right.
I just
More
seen
huggies.
you.
Thank you.
Ah,
All right. Good luck here.
thank
Hope you have more volunteers.
And next in the studio, Adam Usher. Hello, sit up here. Yeah, uh-oh. What happened here? Everything is good?
Everything good?
Oh,
I
yeah.
hope everything's good.
Everything could have been better. You are actually the 4th guest today, which is very
fabulous.
exciting for me.
Fabulous. It's exciting for me too. Thank you for inviting me out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. This is an exciting endeavor. Oh yeah, I put it right down there. Oh, that's the shade spot.
Right,
Yeah.
because you don't want to crash anything.
Yeah, no, it's good advice. Anytime, anywhere. You know.
Yeah, don't leave fragile things on the floor.
When you have your eggs, don't just drop them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, don't leave coffee cups or tea cups also on the floor.
Don't leave the dog shit in the living room. Train the dog to poop outside. Who are your other guests beside me? You said that I'm the 4th?
Yeah, well, there's Angela. She was just walking by. She came by. Mark Borchardt.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, good.
Yeah, well, there's you and this guy. He does show up here. I think his name is Gabe.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know who Gabe is, but hi, Gabe, wherever you are.
I think it's kind of like
Yeah.
memory. Sometimes it got holes in it. Some people they train their memories so good that they can meet 100 people and remember each person's name.
You know, there's a scientific number they're trying to invent to make a water meter to rate that. Like if you have this size of your brain, it means you can meet 200 people. If you have this size of brain,
that doesn't make sense because they did a study before that because that was.
Oh, I'm not saying it made sense. I'm not saying it made sense. I'm just saying it was something that they're trying to.
What they said, big brains are like this, small brains are like this, like big heads, little heads. Then they have like
Big brains are like this. A vertical. Can people see a vertical motion upward and down? No, yeah. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. No, I wasn't saying I agree with the study, but it's interesting they're trying to equate like human intelligence with the
Really?
amount
So
of
they're
the amount
actually
of
doing
people
it.
that you can know. I'm just saying like the scientific community is trying to say that the size of your brain will of this area of the brain determines how many people you can keep relationships with. So if they're claiming if this area is smaller, maybe
yeah.
you can only
Well,
keep
yeah,
relationships with like up to 50. I mean, like you meet someone you haven't seen for 5 years. Are you more likely? Was that a bridge you burned, or can you rekindle that? I'm not saying I agree with it at all. I'm just saying people are talking about it.
No, that
topical.
makes sense because they got all the CAT scans and people can actually see what gets activated.
Yep.
And,
Which neurons are firing?
Right. They got machines now that hook up to people's brains, and it's like people who are they're paralyzed. They cannot move.
Okay.
They can move the mouse.
Yep. I've heard of this before.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
it on YouTube. It's real.
One guy is able to open his garage door with his mind. He installed a little chip in his shoulder, I saw, so that he could think the right thing in his.
Right. Well, when you.
How do you feel about that, Chili? If I had so much money that I'm installing and what I choose to do with my money is I put a chip in my arm to open my garage.
A muzzle tov.
The muzzles. Now I see why you got so many
That's like,
friends.
If
He's a good liar.
If you got cancer in the future, it's your
Okay, all right, gotcha. Karmic justice.
yeah. But look at this.
Sure.
They're already developed. They're in initial stage.
Right.
Like lenses.
Okay.
They can, or even chips maybe. But the thing is, the lenses they can put in your eyes. They can they connects to the internet and
The
in your
Google
eye,
Vision
the
stuff.
Google Vision stuff.
I hate
yeah,
this
where
stuff. Are you a
everything-
fan of this stuff? I mean, are you? I'm just asking.
Am I a fan?
Yeah. Are you? Do you like the idea that people want to put glasses on to tell them what the weather is outside?
I don't have nothing against it. It's scientific. It's science
Is
fiction.
that
You know,
science-
I wouldn't mind living in the 21st
Is it scientific
century.
or a fad?
I don't mind living in
Oh, no, me
21st
neither.
century.
I'm all for technology. I'm all for technology. I'm not. I don't have techno. If you have techno joy, I'm down. But I mean, really, what's augmented reality really is gonna do? Really?
Nothing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's just a toy.
That's what I'm saying. That's
It's a
all
toy
I'm saying.
to dull the mind.
That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Back in the days, people had memory. People memorized everything. There was no books. You know, the times
Right.
where there was no books, people memorized the whole entire
Oral traditions.
text.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had a really good tradition like that. And now it's all
And there's
gone.
nothing to do.
Nobody remembers anything.
Yeah.
I don't remember my
There
phone
might-
number. I have to look
That
it
might
up.
be because of drugs also. But but you know, who knows?
Oh, you know,
We are very medicated
what
this
do-
time, you know what I mean, in this day
what
and
do you
age.
mean by
We're very,
drugs?
I mean, we're very medicated, like legal drugs. I mean, by like anything. I've had the same conversation with my friend's mom for the past 5 years every Wednesday because she takes Ambien at 5 p.m. And right after half an hour of her taking Ambien, she doesn't remember anything. So, you know, things like that, you know, which are now seeping into our water supply. But that's a whole other thing, yeah.
No,
But I'm for
it's
the
sad,
tech.
it's sad.
I'm for like technology. Totally. I think we need to embrace it. But I think a fad's a fad for a reason because a fad isn't long lasting. It doesn't mean anything. A fad is something quick. And when I see something like augmented reality glasses, it just screams fad to me. It seems like, maybe it might work for a small niche group of someone in some field or profession. But I mean,
They're-
you know,
they're doing it really big time. They're doing it like when you put on these glasses or lenses or whatever, or install a chip in your eye. Everywhere you go, if you turn it on, you can see names of businesses.
oh, that sounds horrible. Why would, I mean, I hate
know,
that. I hate the advertisements I have to see already.
You know people's names. You can like.
Also sounds horrible. You probably like meeting people, right?
Yeah.
No, I like meeting you, and I like meeting people like you. You know, you're a rare personality, though. You know, like
Right.
in general, it's hard to. Charles Baudelaire, famous French poet. He said one of the hardest things is for one human to like another human, right? And it's very difficult to get along. So some people, they don't necessarily, me being one of them, and some other friends I know, we don't necessarily want to know that our friends are 500 feet away having a coffee over it. I'm just having a $5 coffee over at
But that's
Starbucks.
why,
Hey,
you know,
buddy,
you can-
let's talk about the new show. I don't know. It might be good. Maybe that's unhealthy. But I'm also for people wanting it. That's cool. You know, because as long as you don't intrude on my life, I really don't care what you're doing. Wear your glasses. I'll say you look stupid under my breath without, you know.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't get it, but I think it's never gonna happen because the world, if it's gonna go where it's going right now, it's going down.
Yeah.
And down is only way to destruction and chaos.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
I'm hoping that there will be some kind of a resurgence of some science that is not where the science is going. Some different science, some ancient science. Because I was looking at Google and came up to this thing. Check this out. In Florida, some guy, he was European fella, right? European scientist. And he lived alone in this big mansion,
Okay. Okay.
and
I like waving to people I don't know.
I don't know.
You know everyone passing by, though. Jeez.
Well,
I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
I hang around River West a lot. When you hang around, you get to meet people.
I'm telling you, it's the hair. It's the hair, man.
Yeah, they just want to touch it. They're just like, let me touch your hair.
I don't want to touch your hair, but I still think I just
Okay.
love looking at it. You can't touch the fine art, you know. But you're a nice guy. You'd let people touch it. I think. I don't know.
I don't even have a choice in the matter sometimes.
What?
Yeah, you
I would
know,
hate if someone just touched my hair.
I didn't like it at first.
Okay.
But then people kept doing it, and I'm like, okay, I either can like it or let it go of my disliking, or I cannot like it or can let go of my disliking, and I just let go. Because I meditate. When you meditate, you
hey.
can teach yourself to like, dislike, easy.
I slowly masturbate myself to sleep every night. Also. No, I think meditating's great, and I agree with that. And but under that, let me ask you a question then. could that same philosophy make someone okay with slave conditions?
Yeah.
So it's
Like
is it
if
kind
you're
of like a balance then a little bit, or of
Well-
not being a little bitch and of oh I'm sorry, can I not cuss? I'm sorry.
No, you can cuss.
Oh okay, yeah, of not being a little bitch and then also meditating.
I think, see, what meditation, what it does, it makes you really comfortable in the world as it is. And if it's slavery, right, and your internal heart is like, no, I cannot see my
Okay.
fellow man be a slave. I must go and liberate. And what you gonna do? You're gonna go around and get killed.
Yep.
You know. So
Well-
you got your heart that says no slavery, and you got your wisdom that says, well, my best friend is a slave owner, or something like that. You know.
Sure.
So
Sure.
you get to find the mean.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you know, abolitionists.
Well, you have to survive, right? I mean, if you just
right.
want to survive in society, you have to, you know? I
Right.
mean, yeah, it comes to a point where it's not even philosophical sometimes. It's like, do you want to be able to walk around and live? You got to kind of have a live and let live attitude.
I want to walk around butt naked, man.
I wish it was more, people would say things like that, like, do you see how people are dressing so scantily? It's like, I think, like, nudity is like a joke on the other person. Like, haha, you had to see me naked. So, like, I wouldn't mind walking around without clothes on. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't work out. You can tell I gained 35 pounds this winter.
Right.
With the jiggle. Bet you wish you didn't see that. But yeah, but we couldn't get naked and go to
Have you,
fuel or here.
have you been to anything nudist?
I've never been to anything nudist, but I don't mind being a little naked around the house.
Nudie tubs?
Yeah, like I said, I don't like people, so I hardly go to group things. I kind
Ah.
of just like hermit it up.
Yeah, but when you're around a bunch of people who are nude and of different sizes and weights or whatever, it's so liberating.
Interesting.
It's so liberating. You just drop all the pretensions, and you drop all your judgments of other people. Oh, she's pretty, she's not. Like stuff like that. It's like, oh, she's fat. I was like, no, it's like it's just human being. When people drop their clothes and
No, I feel you.
learn.
I feel you.
It's not
Yeah.
an initial reaction, but it comes like when when we learn to be comfortable with ourselves, with other people. We don't need this clothing. It's just
I mean,
it's something changes in the mind. It's conception.
can I tell you a
perception.
very quick anecdote?
Please.
So when I was growing up, my parents were very religious. My father was a pastor, actually, and I'm an
Oh, really?
atheist, but I'm not a militant atheist. No one knows. Hey, let's all try to get along, right? So, point being is that they always taught me that nudity was wrong. Keep covered up, right?
Right.
Yet I could watch MTV and see girls dancing around, lightly clothed.
Yeah.
Shit. You know how confusing that is? Like nudity is wrong, but
Like,
all this is
I
like,
like everything is that.
it's also like I love nudity. Like what's wrong with it? And then it has a very reverse effect. And if we were more like Europe, where it was a little more okay, I think it would actually remove the mystique and the weirdness and some of the more aggressive fetishes that people get into because of that. Because we make it like such a
Oh,
hidden thing.
America is full of fetishes, and they're
Well, it's
like,
because we
very
hide
corrupted.
our sexuality. Like we
Yeah,
suppress
yeah,
it.
that's
You
right,
know.
yeah. The revolution will be in the nude.
I would. I don't like bumper stickers. That one I would have. Is it a bumper sticker?
I'm sure there is.
Well, if
they
it's
have
not-
bumper sticker for everything nowadays.
Well, now this will be nudity and revolutions together for the first time since Adam and Eve. I don't know when.
Who would want to shoot a naked person?
That's a good point. Well, what if you were also naked?
In Africa, there was this guy. His name was General Butt.
Oh,
And
I've heard about
you
this
heard
guy.
Yeah, there's a movie about it.
No, but I don't remember much. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he would.
Because I worked at
take-
Milwaukee Film and I sold some tickets to that.
I didn't see the movie. I heard about it.
Likewise.
But he would take a bunch of kids,
Yeah.
strip them naked, shoot them up with a bunch of PCP, give them guns, and set them out to war.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If that's chapter 1, I'm reading the rest of the book. I'm interested. Yeah. And I take it he's been doing this for a while now, probably. or
Well,
what?
he stopped. Now he's a Christian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's buying repentance or whatever.
Buying or how's he buying it? Is it I mean, I understand the
Well,
concept.
From what I understand, he goes to different talk shows
Okay.
and meets different people and says, "Oh, what kind of a horrible person he was."
Yeah.
And now and all about Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You know how people who are really focused on somebody other than themselves, like
Yes.
God, for example.
Yeah. Yep.
They always trying to divert the attention.
Yes. Yes. It's always external things usually too. Usually external.
Yeah, external.
There's a lot of phallus objects around here. You see where my mind's been the last few hours. I just got done from driving Mario over to get some chat books, and I've been like running around all day. And
Oh yeah, but being
Yeah.
around Mario, you get all hyped up probably.
yeah, well he's
Because,
a personality, you know.
yeah.
He's always on. It's actually frustrating. It's like, how are you always on? I don't get it, you know. But
He's always on.
He's
yeah.
always on.
Yeah, he's always on.
making people laugh, you know. Much like yourself.
No. I'm usually always off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm off.
The revolution will be naked. The light switch will be off. Chilly chill.
Yeah. Well, somebody will invite Mario, and
Okay.
there goes the weasel.
The weasel's going somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Give me a poem.
Okay. I don't have anything on my phone, so I'll have to do one of my performance pieces. This block has got some players. Every day, I see modern greasers bring a U-Haul, completely empty, fill it with one box and go. Their license plates say Colorado, and I agree with most of their bumper stickers. One of them says if you're not okay with gay people, tell straight couples to start birthing them. Every night he returns and it's filled, usually at midnight, with boxes and blankets. My second neighbor doesn't like the first neighbor. You can tell by the way his breath smells. He started talking to him, asking, "How many people you got living in that there house?" And he says, 17, you drunk. What are y'all, some kind of sex freaks? He replies, "No, we're just from Bangladesh," my second neighbor says. My third neighbor is also from Bangladesh, but asked people to call him Luciano. And his cousin is named Mario, and we're not really sure where the Italian comes from. Then there's all of us listening to this radio station, the biggest players of them all, talking as if we have no security and writing as if we'll get there someday anyway. Thank you. 35% ad-libbed. Try to ad-lib it. Do you do poetry on the show ever, or
I haven't.
yourself? No. Okay.
No.
Do you have anything? I mean, I'm sharing. No, you don't have to.
I can share a small poem.
I would love that. Yeah, even if it's like a line or two, something you got. Yeah.
This is like this is my favorite one.
Okay.
I wrote a poem the other day. I'd like to share it with you today. Sometimes, the less you say, the more you mean. I think I've said enough. Thank you.
I like short pieces.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can only, for some reason, write short pieces.
Me too.
lately. It's like, when it comes to long, people go on stage and say, I'm gonna write a poem, like read a poem, and they go on for like 10 minutes reading it. And it's like, okay, there's some change. But some really famous poets, they wrote novels and poetry. And they
I
were
agree.
just diverse
I agree.
and it was just full, so... I mean, there's a lot of inspiration for the poets out there. If you look at the world, the world is an inspiration because most of the poems come from what we see. What we
Oh yeah,
notice.
you're just reapplying and retexturing what you're seeing.
Yeah.
There's nothing new, right?
There's nothing under the sun.
Yeah. You retexture and reapply, and it's fun to try. Fun to try.
Want to try on these words? I'm gonna bring the show to an end.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Please keep your mind open and see the art in every aspect of life and life in every aspect of art. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you for having me, and well said.
And Tutti Frutti or Rudy.
Toodles.